So first one is downy mildew of crucifers. So it is again an important disease in crucifers. It is caused by Peronospora parasitica, and it is recently known as Hyla parasitica. So the new name for this peronospora is Hyla peronospora because of several reasons. It is more hyaline. It is the mycelia and sporangia. The sporangia force, they are much hyaline as compared to the typical peronospora. That's why its name has been converted to Hyla peronospora. So we have already discussed about downy mildew of cucurbits. So in case of downy mildew of cucurbits, you were enlightened about that there's formation of some kind of oily yellow spots in the initial stage. Initially, before that, there's some water-soaked spots formed, and they are usually vein limited. So with progression of the disease, the spots they acquire some dark brown centers, and gradually they become tan to dark brown. And of course, on the underside of the leaf, there's some kind of downy growth, grayish, bluish violet growth may be there if conditions are very conducive or favorable. So most of the things are similar in case of downy mildew of cucurbits. Also, it was systemic, but unlike downy mildew of cucurbits, in this case, angular spots are not formed. So the spots, they are not usually angular. And another important thing is that the initial symptoms, they are always evident, or they are always seen on the lower side of this leaf, or the lower surface of the leaf, as small brown spots, and that is further followed by occurrence of some yellowish or chlorotic spots on the upper surface, on the corresponding upper surface. So generally, initially on the underside of the leaf, there's some kind of small brown spots formed, and they are not usually vein limited. And just on the corresponding surface of the lower or infected, or the area with brown lesions, yellowish spots they appear. So this is some typical symptoms of downy mildew as shown in the figure. So in this case, you can see, and so there's always some kind of downy growth associated in case of downy mildew fungus. That's why they are known as downy mildew. So they may be, in some cases, they may be yellowish, in some cases, they may be dirty white, in some cases, they may be grayish, or in some cases, they may be bluish. So it depends upon the weather condition, it depends upon the disease progress. So there's some kind of downy mildew, so which is generally grayish bluish in case of crucifers. So as I already said yesterday, that downy mildew, they are chlorotic pathogens. They cause extensive chlorosis, and with disease progression, leaf they suffer premature defoliation. So when these spots are formed abundantly, right? So the leaf starts showing chlorosis around the margin, and that progresses throughout the leaf. And younger leaves, they are very susceptible, so they prematurely fall, and older leaves usually they persist and they uh, serve as a source of secondary inoculum, because on the downy surface or on the spores that are formed by this Peronospora parasitica, so sporangia are dispersed by wind. And of course, this pathogen is also systemic, so they can also cause infection on the heads or on the inflorescence or on the curd of cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, nodule. So there are so many crucifers. So they can cause some kind of deformities. They can induce hypertrophy and hyperplasia. That's why the peduncle or the floral stalk, they are usually thickened. So generally, downy mildew of crucifer, it appears along with white rust of crucifer. So they develop, I know, so some kind of malformation is seen on the floral part, and that's why they are swollen, they are curved, they are deformed, and of course, when since they are systemic, so they can progress to the curd of कर्ड भने तपाईँले बुझ्नुहुन्छ होला cauliflower ब्रोकाउलीको चाहिँ फुललाई कर्ड भनिन्छ अथवा हेड्स. So some kind of black sunken spots may be seen, and that is further followed by invasion of some secondary pathogens such as Alternaria alternata. So that's why sometimes the creamish curd, white creamish curds, they appear discolored, they appear black, and due to which the marketability is reduced, as well as when this downy mildly they're uh, uh, they develop severely in the field. So in that condition, yield losses are very high because of premature defoliation of the leaves. So again, some typical symptoms of downy mildew, and most importantly, those spots, they are not usually angular. So again, deformities, they can be seen on the floral stalks. They may be thickened, they may be elongated, they may be curved, or some kind of malformation is seen on the floral stalk when conditions are very favorable for downy mildew. So generally, in case of downy mildew of crucifer that is caused by Peronospora parasitica, it is preferred by cool and wet conditions. So 16 to 24 degrees Celsius is the optimum range. It also requires high relative humidity, more than 85%, and winter rains, they again aggravates the scenario, or they favor the disease development. So in case of downy mildew, Peronospora, they are members of family Peronosporiaceae. They are member of oomycetes. So they produce a sexual spore that is known as oospores. So they are result of gametangial contact, and they can undergo dormancy for uh, 1 to 2 years in crop debris, or they can easily permeate in the senescent host tissues or on the crop debris, or they can also permeate in albugo candida induced, that causes white blister induced malformed inflorescence. So it it survives. It also may survive as sporangia or dormant mycelia, and they also cause latent, they produce latent systemic mycelium. So sometimes on the floral, on different plant parts, symptoms may not be exhibited, but since they are dormant systemic mycelium in infected plant debris, so in the next season they get activated and they produce a profuse amount of sporangia. So in this case, they are also considered as conidia because they are capable of direct germination. In case of Peronospora, zoospore differentiation does not take place, so they germinate directly by producing a germ tube. That's why they are considered as conidia. So they can also survive in infected, or since the infection is systemic, they can survive in the silica or in in seeds of crucifers. So this is about the disease cycle and epidemiology about the management. So since they can survive in number of cruciferous weeds or number of volunteer plants, so management of that is very necessary. So they can easily survive in crop debris. So where there is a very humid conditions, जस्तो लुम्ले एरियामा चाहिँ it is very very severe downy mildew of crucifers because it is highly humid, and the Lumle areaमा चाहिँ conditions are very cool, so it is very severe. So in those conditions, crop rotation is recommended with non-cruciferous crop. Again, since this is a seed borne disease, so hot water treatment can be done, but that is not possible in our context because we don't have some specialized unit for hot water treatment or hot air treatment. So when generally hot air treatment is recommended, so the seeds that are exposed to temperature of 43 to 50 degrees Celsius for 20 minutes, or if that's not possible, just you can go with seed treatment with combination of metalaxyl and mancozeb. It is available as Redomil Gold or Trilaxyl or Crinoxyl Gold or many more. So that's at the rate of 3 gram per kg. And when conditions are very humid, foliar spray with contact fungicides such as DM45, which is mancozeb. The active ingredient is mancozeb. So those are recommended at the rate of 0.3% or 0.25%. So copper oxychlorides, they are also very effective. Copper fungicides, they're very effective against downy mildew. र तपाईँले थर्ड सेममा पढ्नु भएको थियो एन्टियुमाइसिड फन्जिसाइड मेटालेक्जिल फिनाइल एमाइड्स, तपाईँलाई याद छ कि छैन? फिनाइल एमाइड्स भन्ने चाहिँ पढ्नु भएको थियो. सो फिनाइल एमाइड्स दे आर एन्टियुमाइसिड फन्जिसाइड. सो they generally are recommended for those diseases which are caused by genera in oomycetes. So metalaxyl or mancozeb, they can be they are curative measures. So one can recommend the foliar spray of metalaxyl plus mancozeb at the rate of 0.25%. So next very important disease is stalk rot of cauliflower, cabbage, or any other crucifer. So this disease generally it occurs in it generally it will disappear because the pathogen sclerotonia sclerotium it cannot survive. So generally sclerotonia sclerotium, if you remember the classification, they are members of discomycetes. They produce sclerotia, and when sclerotia germinates, they produce some sexual fruiting body that is known as apothecium. So they are persistent in the soil, they are soil borne, they can survive in the soil for extended period of time, 1 to 2 years in mid hills. So the primary source of inoculum always comes from soil, and that comes from sclerotia. So sclerotia are hard resting compact dormant mass of mycelia. So sclerotonia को character सम्झिनुहुन्छ भने they produce very very fluffy cottony mycelium, हैन? So they produce very cottony mycelium. So generally in case of crucifers, the first infection takes place during earthing up. So during earthing up, so the lowermost petiole or the lowermost petiole or the midrib of the lower leaf, it comes in contact with the infested soil, and then it starts progressing in other leaves, or it can infect the curd, it can macerate the pith of the stalk. So when there is infection on the lowermost petiole or midrib of the lower leaves during earthing up, so some kind of dark, some dark streaks, brown streaks, they are seen on the lower stem and the leaf or the petiole that is in contact with the soil. So it further progresses in the upward direction. So they produce different dark colored black to brown lesions on the petiole, on the midrib. There's water soaking, since they produce this can produce pectinase in high amount, so they cause rotting of those tissues, and that is further accompanied by development of some fluffy mycelium, so some fluffy cottony mycelium. And this may be seen across the entire plant, or this can also invade the curd अथवा चाहिँ त्यो बन्दाको काउलीको चाहिँ जुन फुल हुन्छ त्यसमा पनि it can easily invade if conditions are very humid and they are cool. So generally this is seen in Tarai conditions from month of December to February. This after February, this disease cannot proliferate because of warmer temperature conditions. So midribs of यो disease हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ सधैँ तलको पात हेर्नुपर्छ हैन. In initial stage, symptoms are only observed on the lower leaf and particularly on the petiole and the midrib. So there may be some kind of dark or dark colored, it may be dark brown, or sometimes they are black. So different necrotic streaks they are seen on the midrib of the lower leaves or on the petiole of the lower leaves. So when this disease progresses, as I already said, they cause extensive rotting because they have enzyme which is known as pectinase. They can cause soft rot, and after some soft rotting is further accompanied by some fluffy mycelial growth. So their mycelium, it is very cottony, it is very fluffy. त्यो एकदम त्यो माइसिलिया हेर्ने बित्तिकै चाहिँ चिन्न सकिन्छ if somebody observes this disease in the field. So gradually it will cause infection on the lower stem or on the collard region, and it will cause a girdling effect. So there's some kind of depressed ring like thing. Bistari progresses, slowly progresses on the curd as well. So again, fluffy mycelial growth can be seen. So when the disease so when there is deficit of humidity, or conditions are not humid, so they will immediately start forming this black colored sclerotia. So these sclerotia, they may be found hanging on different plant parts or they may be embedded on the fluffy mycelium. And generally, if you longitudinally split the stem or the lower stem, so large cavities are formed and they are filled with, or they are lined with, black colored sclerotia, black round to oval sclerotia. So numerous sclerotia are formed. So as I already said, infections can be seen on the curd or on the inflorescence. So they also cause rotting of the inflorescence, and it is further accompanied by development of white fluffy mycelium. Their mycelium is very white, it is very fluffy, it is very cottony. So in this photograph you can see some oval black colored and elongated black colored sclerotia. So these serve as a source, or these are the permeating structure which are formed by sclerotinia sclerotium. So generally in the initial stage, when it is humid, the tissues, they are very soft, but when conditions they are less humid, So the infected tissues, they become dry, and they have the developed mycelium is not visible. So you have to split the stem longitudinally to observe the sclerotia. So as I already said, infections, they generally they are they initiate during earthing up, right? Because at that time the lower leaf comes in contact with the soil. So one of the management strategy is during earthing up चाहिँ त्यो तल्लो पातहरूलाई चाहिँ लिफ स्ट्रिपिङ भन्छौँ हामीले. सो ब्यान्डेड लिफ एन्ड सिथ फ्लाइट अफ मिजमा पनि तपाईँले पढ्नु भएको थियो. तल्लो चाहिँ सेकेन्ड थर्ड इन्टरनोड अथवा फोर्थ इन्टरनोडसम्मको लिफलाई स्ट्रिप गरिदिने, किन भन्दाखेरि when the pathogen is soil borne, it always first come in contacts with the root अथवा चाहिँ the crown region अथवा कोला region. So एउटा त्यो एकदम इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ होइन. सो when this sclerotia these germinate, so they cannot immediately germinate, they require some dormancy period of 6 months. So they, when they germinate, they can produce apothecium, right? So apothecium is a sexual fruiting body. It is a cup-shaped, open sexual fruiting body which contains a large number of ascus and ascospore. So those are airborne, and they can easily they can also cause infection sometimes on the foliar plant parts. But in our context, it is not reported in South Asian conditions. Apothecium, they generally the sclerotia, they remain dormant because it is subtropics. So until and unless there is the onset of December, November 15 पछि चाहिँ temperature starts dropping very sharply. So conditions generally in plain region, that time is very critical. So again, in case of sclerotonia, high nitrogen dose, it aggravates the disease, or it favors the disease development. So about the management, so in case of soil-borne disease, chemical controls, they are not very effective, because soil inoculumलाई चाहिँ if you तपाईँले soil science पढिसक्नु भएको छ, 1 हेक्टरमा कति माटो हुन्छ भनेर तपाईँलाई थाहा छ. बल्क डेन्सिटी 1.3 भएको सोइलको माटोको कति 1 हेक्टरमा, त्यसरी हामीले तपाईँले पढ्नु पनि भयो होला होइन. यो त्यो फर्मुला छ एउटा. सो जेनरली 1 हेक्टरमा चाहिँ 22 लाख टन माटो हुन्छ, 22 लाख समथिङ कति चाहिँ टन हुन्छ होइन. सो त्यहाँनिर जति पनि हुनसक्छ. सो त्यो केमिकल सोइल ड्रेन्चिङ प्र्याक्टिकली चाहिँ हामीले एउटा बोटमा चाहिँ 100 ml हाल्छौँ होइन. सो 15 सेन्टिमिटरसम्मको रुट डेप्थ अथवा सोइल डेप्थ चाहिँ हामीले क्यालकुलेट गर्ने हो भने त्यसको चाहिँ बल्क डेन्सिटी 1.13 को 22,50,000 समथिङ चाहिँ छ होइन, त्यो टन्स अफ सोइल. So soil drenching, it can be, it is practical in nursery beds, and it is economical in the field. It is not economical at all for a smallholder farmer अथवा for a semi-commercial farmer. So जहाँनिर यो रोग देखिन्छ त्यहाँ बेस्ट अप्सन चाहिँ 2-3 वर्ष क्रप रोटेसन गर्नु नै हो. सो दिस डिजिज इज अगेन अ बिग प्रब्लम इन राजमा. तपाईँले को घरमा राजमा लाउनुहुन्छ होला, अथवा कहाँ तपाईँले पक्कै पनि राजमा लगाएको देख्नुभयो होला, अथवा रामपुरमै देख्नुभयो होला, अथवा अन्त कतै देख्नुभयो होला. सो राजमामा पनि स्क्लेरोटोनिया स्क्लेरोसेरम इज अ भेरी भेरी बिग प्रब्लम इन बिन्स होइन. सो यसको इट हेज अ भेरी वाइड होस्ट रेन्ज. इट क्यान अल्सो कज वाइट रट इन पी, त्यो पनि हामी डिस्कस गर्छौँ. सिम्टम्स दे आर भेरी सिमिलर इन अल अफ द केसेस होइन. सो generally soil amendments, they are recommended. So mustard cake होइन, mustard cake पिना, आजकल पिना पनि महँगो भइसक्यो. So generally when the fields and sick soil भन्छ हामीले, when the soil is sick or it is heavily infested with sclerotonia sclerotium or rhizoctonia solani. So generally, we recommend 2.5 tons of mustard cake per hectare. So before planting, we recommend incorporation of 2.5 tons of mustard cake. So that can be done. र मैले तपाईँलाई use of sunflower cakes, they are not so much available in our country. So pine needles, जस्तो this can be सल्लाह चाहिँ मिडल्समा जति पनि छन् हैन. So सल्लाहको residue at the rate of 12 ton per hectare हैन. It is reported that the integration or incorporation of the pine needle residue at the rate of 10 to 12 per hectare, it can reduce the incidence of sclerotonia, or uh, it is very effective. It can control the disease up to 70%. So apart from that, we can also integrate biocontrol agents. So Gladium variants, coniothyramines, they are a very effective biocontrol agents that are being used in Western world, but in our case, those are not available. So you will get only Trichoderma viride and Trichoderma herzianum in our context. So formulation के कुरा गर्ने भने so मैले तपाईलाई soil application कसरी गर्नुपर्छ भनेर सिकाइसकेको छु. So again, in this case, mix 5 liters. General liquid formulations, they are better as compared to talc based formulation. The viability of the trichoderma spores, it is better in liquid formulation. So liquid formulations are preferred over talc based formulations. So liquid formulation 5 लिटर लिने, त्यसमा चाहिँ 100 किलो चाहिँ एफआईमा मिसाउने, त्यसपछि चाहिँ त्यसलाई छोप्ने, 1 हप्तासम्म राख्ने, हरेक प्रत्येक 2 दिनमा चाहिँ त्यसलाई मिक्स गर्ने, र त्यसपछि when there is some greenish growth, हैन, after 10 days you can see some greenish growth on the treated FYM. त्यति बेला you just apply in the field. तपाईले चाहिँ फर्ममा लाउनु भएको छ, कसरी लाउनु भएको छ त्यही किसिमले you can apply as a spot application as well. So एउटा त्यो गर्ने, र earthing up is very critical. So during earthing up, यदि कोही कमर्शियल किसान छ भने he of course will adopt that. So earthing up को बेला पनि you just हैन use by control agent as a soil application. So that is reported to control the disease up to 90%. So trichoderma apply गर्दाखेरि you have to take several precautions. So never ever apply the trichoderma in foliar form or as a soil application during hot hours of the day. So generally बेलुका 4 बजेपछि when the sunlight is not so intense. So बेलुका पख चाहिँ it is recommended because in high temperatures the colony count of trichoderma, it may decrease significantly because there is again climatic shock. So एउटा trichoderma FIM बाट फेरि soil मा जाँदाखेरि there's climatic shock. So to reduce that, we generally apply trichoderma in different as different application during evening hours. So chemical control among these, thiophanate methyl is very effective. So thiophanate methyl, it is available as Roku, ROKO, Roku. Roku is a Hindi word, so Roku अथवा चाहिँ टप्सिन एम भनेर पनि पाइन्छ. So thiophanate methyl is very effective in controlling sclerotonia rot or stalk rot of crucifers or any other crops. So मैले पहिला पनि fluffy mycelium को कुरा गरेको थिएँ. Cottony fluff, they produce very cottony fluffy mycelium. So when conditions are very humid, they are cool, December देखि February सम्म चाहिँ you will get to see these kind of fluffy mycelium in infected fields of rajma अथवा चाहिँ पीमा पनि आउँछ, cowpea मा पनि आउन सक्छ, crucifer सबैमा आउन सक्छ. So when this Sclerotia, they germinate, they produce a sexual fruiting body, open cup-shaped fruiting body, जसलाई एपोथेसियम भनिन्छ भन्ने कुरा मैले गरिसकेको छु. So this is, and they are macroscopic, they can be easily visualized with naked eyes. So, and when infections, if it occurs in nursery stage, so कसैको nursery bed नै infected छ भने it, of course, damping off is seen. So damping off is not only caused by pythium, it can be caused by fusarium, it can be caused by rhizoctonia, it can be caused by sclerotonia, or it can be caused by sclerosium. So अर्थिङ अप केमिकलमा जाने हो भने अर्थिङ अपदेखि नै थियोफेनेट मिथाइलको चाहिँ फोर्टनाइटली इन्टरभल 15 डेज इन्टरभलमा स्प्रे गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ इट इज भेरी इफेक्टिभ. अर यु क्यान use some other fungicides as mentioned in the slide itself. So white rot of P को कुरा गरिरहेको थिएँ मैले. So symptoms they are very very similar. So sclerotonia, scleroserium को infection को केसमा symptoms they are very similar in different host crops. So again, this is soil borne. Story, it is soil borne. So generally, it infects the collar region. It causes water soaking on the lower stem region, and it progresses. So it causes extensive water soaking that is followed by development of fluffy mycelium. So if conditions are very cool and humid, and fluffy mycelium, white fluffy mycelium can be easily seen. And with advancement of disease, some sclerotia may be formed, or they may be, you might get to see some black colored sclerotia embedded on those fluffy mycelium. So generally sclerotia, they are formed in mid-February, February mid-February sclerotia starts forming. So त्यति बेला चाहिँ बिस्तारै temperature starts rising, and the fungi, of course, and it has different survival mechanism. So one of the survival mechanism is formation of sclerotia. So it is a dormant structure, so that it can perenniate from one season to next season. So you can see again there may be different kinds of dark streaks on the lower stem. There may be fluffy mycelium. Again, it again depends upon the weather condition, and of course, infections they can progress on the pods. So again, when infection occurs on the pods, they cause water soaking of the pods, and there may be development of fluffy mycelium, and with disease progression, some sclerotia, black hard sclerotia, round to elongated sclerotia may be seen. And as a result of this, the seed weight is very low. Seeds, they become discolored. So everything is same. So this is when the fields are very severely infected. So the winter season अब अर्को सिजनमै आउँछ विन्टर अब. सो विन्टर सिजनमा तपाईले यो राजमामा एकदमै सिभियर आउँछ रामपुरमा, अथवा चाहिँ विन्टर सिजनमा तपाईले धेरै जसो ठाउँमा तपाई जुन ठाउँमा हुनुहुन्छ हैन त्यो ठाउँमा तपाईले सजिलै स्क्लेरोटोनियाको इन्फेक्सन देख्न सक्नुहुन्छ. So same management practice. So यदि talc based formulation मात्र use गर्ने हो भने, this is about talc based formulation. So talc based formulation हैन, so 120 kg per hectare. So liquid formulation use गर्दाखेरि तपाईलाई 5 लिटरले पुग्छ, तर त्यो प्रयोग गर्न आउनु पर्छ हैन. So same thing, everything is same. Of course, in this case also thiophanate methyl is very effective. So you can see some sclerotia, they are embedded in cottony fluffy mycelium, and they are attached to the pods. So your body सिमी त्यसपछि जति पनि यो लहरे बालीहरु छन् लगभग सबैमा आउँछ यो. So next important disease is black rot of crucifers. So again, this is a very important disease of crucifer. So हरेक सिजनमा ब्ल्याक रट इज सिन in Rampur condition or somewhere else. Kathmandu, Bhaktapur area, it is very severe. So this is seed borne. Generally, the primary source of inoculum comes from seed. I know. So farmers, otherwise like commercial growers, they do not treat their seed. So theorem captainly treat the seed. So this is bacterial. They won't work at all. So स्ट्रेप्टोमाइसिनले चाहिँ जेनरली कुनै पनि बिउ किन्दाखेरि त स्ट्रेप्टोमाइसिनले चाहिँ सिड ट्रिट गरे आउनु सो इट डिपेन्ड्स जहाँनिर चाहिँ ब्ल्याक रडको हिस्ट्री छ त्यहाँनिर बल्ल चाहिँ वी जेनरली रिकमेन्ड युज अफ एन्टिबायोटिक्स फर सिड ट्रिटमेन्ट. So about the etiology, it is caused by Xanthomonas campestris, pathovar campestris. So about this disease, so this is typical initial symptoms. So this disease, they appear as some chlorotic regions on the margin, some chlorotic regions, and this will progress. This will progress toward the midrib, and finally it will assume a V shape. So when the symptoms they are fully expanded, so the chlorotic lesions they assume more or less V shape होइन. सो ठ्याक्कै त्यो भी नै हुनुपर्छ भन्ने छैन, कहिलेकाहीँ यु जस्तो पनि देखिन सक्छ त्यो. सो एन्ड यो केसमा यु वन्ट सी टिपिकल V shape होइन. सो सिम्टम्स दे अलवेज अपियर एज क्लोरोटिक lesions, chlorotic areas on the margin of the leaves of crucifers. And when this progresses, this always progresses toward the midrib, and they assume some kind of V shape. So apart from this, so this may be due to different reasons. So field मा जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ त्यति सजिलरी चाहिँ तपाईले कुनै कुरा कन्क्लुड गर्न हुँदैन. सो व्हेन यु कन्क्लुड समथिङ रङली त्यति बेला चाहिँ त्यसको साइड इफेक्टहरू बढी हुन्छ. सो इफ यु अब्जर्भ दिस फोटोग्राफ, you can see some kind of black necrotic veins. So जहाँनिर यो क्लोरोटिक एरियाहरू देखिन्छ V shaped areas अथवा कहिलेकाहीँ इनिशियली दे मे बी U shaped हैन around the margin. सो त्यो त्यो भेन हेर्ने त्यो प्राय जस्तो चाहिँ यो मात्र हेरेर सिधै चाहिँ दिस इज ब्ल्याक रड भनेर चाहिँ कन्क्लुड गरिदिन्छन् कसैले हैन, बट द्याट इज रङ. सो please always make sure that you observe the lower side of this lesion. यसको पछाडी पट्टि चाहिँ if it is black rot or if it is infection due to Xanthomonas campestris, pathovar campestris, so always observe the downside, your area, and if it is Xanthomonas त्यति बेला you will see blackened veins and veinlets. So it causes necrosis of the veins हैन. So that is very important criteria. To further confirm हैन, so तपाईले यो भाँच्नुस् हैन. So यहाँबाट तपाईले भाँच्नुस्, and if it is Xanthomonas then you will see vascular discoloration. So this is again a vascular pathogen, so you will see blackened a black colored vascular discoloration. So this may be yani your reason was easily, it is easily seen, or पिटियल रिजन. सो यु अलवेज ह्याभ टु कन्सिडर द्याट दुईवटा रिजन हेर्नुपर्छ. एउटा चाहिँ जुन क्लोरोटिक एरिया जहाँ प्रड्युस भएको छ त्यहाँ वरिपरिको चाहिँ भेन्सहरू हेर्ने, वेदर दे आर ब्ल्याक अर नट, एन्ड यु जस्ट ब्रेक द्याट एन्ड यु अब्जर्भ द भ्यास्कुलर बन्डल वेदर दे आर ब्ल्याक एन्ड अर नट होइन. सो त्यो एकैचोटि ब्ल्याक हुँदैन, समटाइम्स इट मे बी जस्ट लाइट brown हैन. So that discoloration maybe this is very advanced stage. र त्यसपछि चाहिँ यो पुरै पात लिने र पिटियोलमा पनि ब्ल्याकनिङ अफ or the vascular discoloration is very prominent. So these things should be considered, or they should be taken into mind while diagnosing black rot of crucifer. So blackening of veins, it is veinlets, they are very prominent. I know. So blackening of vascular tissues on stem, on petiole, on stem of infected leaves. It is very important, and this is vascular pathogen. They are systemic, so they can again cause infection on the curds of cauliflower, ब्रोकौली अथवा चाहिँ क्याबेज नोलखोल के छन् होइन सो ब्ल्याक स्पट्स त्यो कहिलेकाहीँ चाहिँ काउलीको माथि चाहिँ कालो भएको देखिन्छ सो द्याट मे बी ड्यू टु सेभरल रिजन्स इट मे बी ड्यू टु डाउनी माइल्ड्यू इट मे बी ड्यू टु ब्ल्याक स्पट sorry it may be due to xanthomonas or it may be due to some saprophytic growths such as alternaria, or it may be due to alternaria brassicae or brassicicola. So there are so many reasons behind that. So these are again some, this is typical symptoms. So this is the chlorosis is occurring on the margins, and so slowly it will progress towards the midrib and it will assume V shape. अब यसमा typical V shape देखेको छैन होइन सो यसमा भेन कस्तो छ के छ भित्र के भएको छ कि छैन भन्ने कुराहरू विचार गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ. So this is seed borne, right? This is seed borne because it can infect the inflorescence. It can cause black spot of the inflorescence, and generally primary source of inoculum it comes from seed. Right? So under Tarai conditions, the inoculum, the bacteria, it cannot survive uh, for long period. Generally 2 to 3 months मात्र survive गर्न सक्छ plant debris मा. So generally, infected seeds are the major reason behind the epidemics of this disease in our context. So this is favored by slightly higher temperature, 26 to 30 degrees Celsius. So after 36 degrees Celsius, this disease is not seen. This is not त्यही भएर चाहिँ यो भक्तपुर एरियामा चाहिँ this is very very severe. This is severely seen as per my experience. So humidity condition, bacteria go generally dissemination, it is due to rain or due to splash rain, or it may be due to irrigation water, or it may be due to blowing of the fallen leaves, or sometimes some insects they can disseminate, but still insect transmission of xanthomonas is not clearly documented. So crop rotation भन्ने कुराहरू आफ्नो ठाउँमा छन् हैन so crop जहाँनिर छ but that is not a practical always, that is not pragmatic. So disease free seed use गर्ने भनेर भन्छौँ सर्टिफाइड सीड गर्ने सो त्यो कुन सर्टिफाइड छ डिजिज फ्री छ भने त्यसको कुनै ग्यारेन्टी छैन सो जहाँनिर यसको चाहिँ हिस्ट्री यो डिजिजको छ क्रप हिस्ट्री सो त्यहाँनिर रेकमेन्ड seed treatment with streptocycline, or this is commercial product. So this streptocycline अथवा चाहिँ एग्रिमाइसिन 100 भनेर नेपालमा चाहिँ पपुलर दुईटा ब्रान्ड छन् यसको ब्रान्ड नेम. So streptocycline is again, it is combination of streptomycin sulfate and oxytetracycline. Same is for agrimycin 100. So 100 ppm solution बनाएर treat the seeds for 15 to 30 minutes. So किसानलाई रेकमेन्ड गर्दाखेरि 15 मिनट मात्र भन्नु होला किनभने किसानले चाहिँ सधैँ धेरै बेर राख्यो भने अझै राम्ररी कन्ट्रोल हुन्छ भन्ने बुझ्छ उसले. So 15 मिनट भन्यो भने उसले 5-10 मिनट यताउता गर्यो भने because when it is kept in streptocycline for extended period of time, the germination percentage is reduced extensively. So यसमा पनि pine needle, mulching of pine needle or सल्ला जुन चाहिँ मिडल्समा जो सजिलै पाइन्छ. So pine needles को चाहिँ incorporation mulching is found very effective in management of this disease. If this disease is seen in moderate form or just initiate भएको छ भने you can just go with a spray of copper oxychloride or if this disease is advanced, is in advanced stage, then always go with uh, foliar spray of streptomycin at the rate of 100 ppm. So generally always alternate the spray of antibiotic with contact fungicide, contact bactericide or contact fungicide. Antibiotics may be of different types. एउटा antifungal antibiotic हुन्छ, एउटा antibacterial हुन्छ. So in order to manage fungicidal resistance or bactericidal resistance, we generally alternate the spray of antibiotic with some contact bactericide or fungicide. So next important disease is, this is also very commonly seen. This is cauliflower mosaic. It is caused by cauliflower mosaic virus, which is a double-stranded DNA virus. So this is transmitted by different species of aphids among different species. Brevicornia brassica and Myxus persici, they are very efficient vectors of cauliflower mosaic virus, and um, they they are transmitted persistently in in case of cauliflower mosaic virus. So in this case, different kinds of symptoms are seen. Some mosaic, so there may be alternate patches of dark green or light green, or there may be admixture of yellow, pale yellow, dark green, light green. So that is mosaic. And apart from that, vein banding is very typically seen, and the veins, they are very swollen. They are very swollen. Intervenal areas, they are raised, they may be crinkled. So vein banding and vein clearing भने तपाईलाई थाहा छ, vein are cleared. Banding भनेको चाहिँ the area near the veins, they are more dark in color, and they may also show some kind of intervenal intervenal areas are raised. They may show rugosity. Plants, they are stunted, and they may show some kind of mottling or some crinkling, puckering. So these are symptoms, some common symptoms of cauliflower mosaic virus. So about this virus, so virus when you have to control uh, the vector, and this is also mechanically transmitted. सो अब यसको म्यानेजमेन्ट एफिडको लागि के गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा तपाईँले इन्टोमोलोजीको अहिले कोर्स होला, इन्सेक्ट पेस्ट म्यानेजमेन्ट, त्यसमा अझै राम्ररी चाहिँ पढिराख्नु भयो होला. सो जेनरली यु क्यान रेकमेन्ड रोगर. Roger is a dimethyl, but its waiting period is very high. So cauliflower is a short duration. There are so many short duration varieties. So generally cypermethrin, we recommend cypermethrin to be in safe side. त्यो किसानले चाहिँ हेर्दैन कहिले वेटिङ के भनेर. So dimethyl is highly systemic. It is, if it is recommended, if it the aphid infestation is very severe, त्यति बेला चाहिँ we recommend 0.1% Roger, that is dimethyl. अथवा cypermethrin, we recommend cypermethrin at the rate of 0.2%. So next important disease is virus sting. This is also a very severe problem in cabbage and cauliflower. It is also known as damping off. Sometimes it can cause head rot. Sometimes it can cause bottom rot. So this name has this disease, the infection due to Rhizoctonia solani in case of crucifers. So it is named differently, and as per the site of infection or the part of plant which is infected. So Rhizoctonia ले अघि damping off गर्न सक्छ. Damping off तपाईहरुलाई थाहा छ के हो, हैन. So there are two kinds of damping off: pre-emergence, post-emergence damping off. So when they are in sealing stage, so some kind of constriction, brown lesions, reddish brown discoloration, they are seen on the collar region. That collar region become constricted, and that eventually topples over, right? And the dolls are त्यसपछि they come like that. So when this occurs in nursery bed, it causes a massive damage. So so after transplanting also these symptoms can be seen. So transplanting गरिसकेपछि चाहिँ त्यो प्लान्ट उति बेलै ढल्दैन होइन. सो यु विल बी एबल टु सी सम dark black to brown colored uh, patches on this collar region or on the lower stem or on the root itself. So due to which they are shrunken, they are constricted due to the infection. These are shrunken, the uneven ones are, they assume ropey appearance. Right? So they are uneven, they assume ropey appearance, they assume just like a wire, right? Shape of wire. So that's why sometimes they are also known as wire stem. So this is also very severe in mid-hill. In mid-hill region, wire stem is very severe. So immediately plant it does not die, होइन. But the yield अथवा चाहिँ sometimes it may cause sterility अथवा there is no any fruiting due to the infection of rhizoctonia. So this is one of the phase which is known as wire stem or damping off, or sometimes it can cause bottom rot. So when there's bottom rot, generally again the lower leaf, the midribs and petiole of the lower leaf, it comes in contact with the soil. So when there is contact between the leaf or petiole or midrib of the lower leaf, so they develop some kind of light uh, or light. Initially they are light colored, but gradually they become dark gray brown lesions. So these are specifically seen on the midrib region, you know. So as a result of which, when this infection progresses, it causes bottom rot. So the bottom of the curd is rotten माथि हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ राम्रै हुन्छ तर त्यो चाहिँ कुहिया हुन्छ. Or sometimes the mycelia due to splash rain, होइन, so they they uh, come in contact with the head of this curd and they may cause head rot as well. So this is about head rot. And some kinds of mycelia, in case of rhizoctonia, mycelial growths, they can be only visualized with hand lens. They typically आँखाले देख्न सकिँदैन. And you may also find some sclerotia if infection is very severe, or it is if you observe the field in very during harvesting अथवा late in the season तपाईँले field visit गर्नुभयो भने कुनै infected field छ भने, so at that time you may be able to see sclerotia. So this is case of damping off. You can see some kind of reddish or brown discoloration at the collar region. So infection may proceed to the root and they assume ropey appearance. They are चाहिँ uneven अथवा चाहिँ कतै चाहिँ it is constricted, कतै चाहिँ ठुलो हुन्छ कतै सानो हुन्छ. That's why they are known as wide stem. And sometimes when infection takes place very late, in case of rhizoctonia infection or this head rot, bottom rot, or wide stem, so post-harvest infection can be seen. During storage infections can be seen. So again rhizoctonia तपाईँले धेरैचोटि पढिसक्नु भएको छ. So rhizoctoniaको चाहिँ पेरिनेसन के हो, कन्डिसन के हो. So rhizoctonia अब तपाईँले मकैमा you will get to see banded leaf and sheath blight. किन भन्दाखेरि दुई चार दिनदेखि पानी परिरहेको छ. So you will get to see banded leaf and sheath blight in maize if you observe the leaf sheath very carefully. मैले जे पढाएको छु त्यो सिम्टम कम्पेयर गरेर हेर्नुभयो भने you will of course find banded leaf sheath blight of maize. त्यस्तै अहिले चाहिँ मिड हिल्समा अफ कोर्स देयर इज नर्दर्न ब्लाइट अफ मेज. तराई कन्डिसनमा पनि यु विल फाइन्ड नर्दर्न लिफ ब्लाइट अफ मेज इन रामपुर कम्पोजिट अथवा अरुण 2 कतै लगाएको छ भने यु विल फाइन्ड नर्दर्न लिफ ब्लाइट अफ मेज. र समर मेजमा यु विल फाइन्ड लट अफ साउदर्न लिफ ब्लाइट. कसैको घर धादिङ एरिया अथवा चाहिँ मिड हिल्समा छ भने चाहिँ ग्रे लिफ स्पट पनि भेट्नुहुन्छ तपाईँले यति बेला. So generally rhizoctonia, they are favored by wet soil conditions wet and compact soil conditions. So when there is dry conditions, होइन त्यति बेला चाहिँ rhizoctonia infection is not seen. So अब rainfall भयो, rainfall हुने बित्तिकै चाहिँ if there is soil borne inoculum in the soil, so rhizoctonia infection will be seen in different crop species. So त्यही कुरा छ त्यसमा. So rhizoctoniaको management, it is almost same. Biocontrol agent is only the sustainable approach for management of soil-borne disease. Chemical controls, they are not sustainable approach, होइन. So त्यही कुराहरू छन्. लाइट इरिगेसन इज रेकमेन्डेड, त्यो त मलाई थाहा छ. Seed treatment is advisable because sometimes sclerotia or the dormant mycelia may get mixed with the seed lot. त्यो त्यो पनि तपाईँले बायोकन्ट्रोल एजेन्टले सिड ट्रिटमेन्ट पनि गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ, अथवा चाहिँ विथ द हेल्प अफ थिरम, क्याप्टेन अथवा चाहिँ ब्याबिस्टिन, दे आर कमनली युज्ड सिड ड्रेसर्स. सो इन्फेक्सन यदि सिभियर केसमा छ भने, सिभियरली देखियो भने टप्सिमेम, एप्लिकेसन अफ टप्सिमेम इज रेकमेन्डेड. अर्थिङ अपमा चाहिँ ट्राई बायोकन्ट्रोल एजेन्ट एज अ सोइल एप्लिकेसन इज रेकमेन्डेड. सो त्यो कुराहरू भयो. So again, about this is again one of the very important disease of crucifer in mid hills, Palung area, Tistung Palung, जहाँनिर चाहिँ तरकारीको लागि एकदमै फेमस हो त्यो ठाउँ, in different mid hill regions. So this is very important disease, club root of crucifer. So this is caused by a myxomycete, which is known as plasmodiophlomycete. It is not true fungus. So generally club root, this plasmodiaphora क्लब रुटको तपाईँले पहिला पढ्नु पनि भएको थियो. दे आर फेभर्ड बाई चाहिँ एसिडिक सोइल कन्डिसन्स भनेर पढ्नुभयो होला, होइन. त्यस्तै स्क्याब इज फेभर्ड बाई अल्कलाइन सोइल कन्डिसन्स. सो वान अफ द म्यानेजमेन्ट स्ट्राटेजी इज लाइमिङ, होइन. सो युज अफ सोइल एमेन्डमेन्ट विथ एग्रिकल्चरल लाइम. सो त्यो पिएच कति छ के छ भनेर तपाईँले कृषि डायरी अहिलेसम्म हेर्नु भएको छ कि छैन नेपालको. सो त्यो कृषि डायरी हेर्नुभयो भने कति सोइल 6.5 देखि चाहिँ 6.7 सोइल पिएच छ भने त्यसलाई चाहिँ 7 पिएचमा लानलाई कति जिप्सम एड गर्ने, अथवा कति लाइम, त्यसलाई त्यो एसिडिटी घटाउनलाई कति चाहिँ लाइम युज गर्ने, त्यो कुराहरू मजाले प्रष्ट रूपमा चाहिँ डिपिक्ट गरेको छ त्यसमा. अथवा तपाईँले सोइल साइन्समा पढ्नु पनि भयो होला, है. सोइल साइन्समा चाहिँ यो सोइलको पिएच यति छ, होइन. सो सपोज द सोइल पिएच इज 5.5 एन्ड इफ यु वान्ट टु रेज द सोइल पिएच टु 6.5, कति केजी लाइम हाल्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा तपाईँले क्यालकुलेसन गर्नुपर्ने हो, है. सो त्यो गर्नु भएको छैन भने अब सोइलको सरलाई सोध्नु होला. सो त्यहाँनिर क्याटायन एक्सचेन्जको कुरा, बल्क डेन्सिटीको कुराहरू, त्यहाँ धेरै कुराहरू छन्. So in this case, generally when there is infection, symptoms are not evident on the upper canopy, होइन. त्यो माथि हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ it remains healthy for extended period of time. So generally vegetative stageमा, होइन, fruiting flowering stage अथवा cod formation stageमा चाहिँ symptoms are evident. तर vegetative stageमा चाहिँ symptoms, they are not seen until and unless you uproot the root and uproot the plant and you observe the roots. So these are some very diagnostic symptoms. So due to hyperplasia and hypertrophy induced by Plasmodiaphora brassicae, so the roots, they are swollen, and they assume club shape. So त्यसको साइज फरक पर्न सक्छ एक्सटेन्ट अफ सिभिरिटी अनुसार. सो कहिले चाहिँ एकदम ठुलो देखिन्छ, कहिले एकदम सानो देखिन सक्छ. सो दिस इज भेरी सिभियर केस अफ क्लब रुट, होइन. इन दिस केस अब यसमा इन्फेक्सन इज मोडरेट. इन दिस केस सम स्मल क्लब रुट्स, होइन, रुट्स आर स्वलन but they are smaller in size. So until and unless तपाईँले त्यो बोटलाई उखालेर हेर्नु हुँदैन भने होइन, मिड हिल्स जहाँ सोइल कन्डिसन एसिडिक छ, सो तपाईँले सँग अहिले चाहिँ you use lot of digital platform होइन दिस डेज. सो अहिलेसम्म तपाईँले नार्कको सोइल डिभिजनले निकालेको डिजिटल म्याप हेर्नु भएको छ कि छैन, आई डोन्ट नो. हेर्नु भएको छैन भने प्लिज एकचोटि हेर्नु होला. तपाईँले हरेक जिपिएस, द्याट इज नट द एक्चुअल इस्टिमेट होइन, त्यो एउटा चाहिँ जस्ट रफ इस्टिमेट दिन्छ त्यसले, बट स्टिल इट इज भेरी युजफुल. तपाईँको कुन जिल्लामा, तपाईँको कुन गाउँमा त्यहाँको चाहिँ कति छ, त्यहाँ माइक्रोन्युट्रिएन्ट जिङ्क बोरोन आइरनको तिनवटाको छ. त्यसपछि त्यहाँनिर चाहिँ एभाइलेबल फोस्फरस कार्बन कन्टेन्ट कति छ, त्यसको पिएच कति छ. सो बेसिक सोइल प्यारामिटर्सहरू होइन, सो बेसिक फिजियोकेमिकल सोइल प्यारामिटर्सहरू तपाईँले त्यहाँबाट एउटा त्यो रफ इस्टिमेट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ. सो जहाँनिर सोइल एसिडिक छ, देयर्स हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी अफ इन्सिडेन्स अफ प्लाज्मोडियोफोरा, स्पेसली इन द मिड हिल्स है. यो चाहिँ तराई रिजनमा त्यति देखिँदैन. सो बिएससी पढिसकेपछि अब कहाँ कहाँ जानु पर्ला, के गर्नु पर्ला, सो त्यति बेला काम लाग्ने कुराहरू छँदैछ. सो when there is infection होइन, सो भेजिटेटिभ स्टेजमा मैले भनिसकेँ, प्लान्ट रिमेन्स हेल्दी, इट लुक्स हेल्दी. तर when there is water deficit होइन, plasmodiophyra it is favored by cooler soil conditions and wet soil conditions. So but when there is water deficit, so during hot hours or during day hours, symptoms such as wilting and yellowing may be seen. तर त्यो it will recover. अर्को बिहान पख हेर्दाखेरि it will of course recover. So त्यस्तो चाहिँ देखिन सक्छ in the initial stage, but when it is in advanced stage, so this due to this gall formation, swollen formation, the vascular bundle it is constricted, due to which it cannot imbibe water or it cannot translocate water to the other parts of the plant, as a result of which yellowing and wilting they may be seen. So generally in case of plasmodiophyra infected roots, the outer covering is not formed, outer layer of the roots they are not formed. So due to which it is very susceptible to soft rot bacteria such as Irvinia caratovora, जहाँनिर प्लाज्मोडियोफोराको इन्फेक्सन हुन्छ त्यहाँनिर इर्विनिया कार्टोभोराको इन्फेक्सन पनि इट इज seen abundantly होइन. सो त्यो कुराहरू तपाईँले ख्याल गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ. प्लिज होइन रिड कृषि डायरी, त्यो कति पिएचमा के गर्ने कुरा द्याट इज नट माई जब होइन, त्यो सोइल साइन्समा तपाईँले पढिसकेको हुनुपर्छ त्यो कुराहरू. सो इट इज फेभर्ड बाई एसिडिक सोइल कन्डिसन्स होइन. सो यु हेभ टु रेज द सोइल पिएच. सो त्यसको लागि तपाईँले लाइम नै हाल्नुपर्छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई. एन्ड इट इज भेरी सिभियर इन वेट हेभी सोइल्स जहाँनिर अर्ग्यानिक म्याटर कन्टेन्ट एकदम कम छ. So this fungus, it is not a true fungus, it is typically known as myxomycete. तपाईँले पढिसक्नु भएको छ. It produces a very resistant minute resting sporangia or summer sporangia that can permeate in the soil for at least 10 years in mid-hill conditions. So this is very persistent in the soil. Once it is established in the soil, this can be problematic for more than 20 years if crucifers are grown in that field. So it is favored by low soil temperature conditions, 12 to 27 degrees Celsius. Mid hills it is right there. And about the management, so we have very few management options for controlling this disease. So सबभन्दा चाहिँ effective management strategy नै use of agricultural lime, just raise the soil pH हैन, almost neutral बनाउन खोज्नुपर्छ. तर neutral बनाउँदाखेरि फेरि crop नफल्न सक्छ हैन. So raise it to 6.8 or 6.7. So crop rotation का कुरा, stagnation यो कुराहरु आफ्नो ठाउँमा छन्. So this Benlit is banned. This Benlit is banned. So it was very effective. It was very effective chemical fungicide. but this is recently banned and यसको waiting period पनि जम्मा 7 दिन थियो, but this was misused for treatment of त्यो किर्ना अनि त्यसपछि अरू त्यो कुकुरमा लाग्ने किराहरूको लागि चाहिँ this was misused. Due to those reason it was banned in Nepal and due to animal right activists. So यसको लागि हामीसँग धेरै अप्सन छैनन्. सो ड्रेन्चिङ अहिले हामीसँग अप्सन भएको चाहिँ use of agricultural lime, integration of FYM, and again there are several reports that biocontrol agents such as Pseudomonas fluorescens, they are very effective in managing this disease. So biocontrol agent recommendation you can advise to the farmer or you can adopt yourself. And this flusulfonide, it is very expensive, right? So generally this is very expensive and this is recommended at the rate of 10 to 15 kg per ropani, and this is not easily available, which is available as a nebuzine in our context. So this is found to be effective, but cost benefit ratio हेर्नुपर्ने कुरा हुन सक्छ तपाईले अथवा इकोनोमिक्स पनि पढ्नु भएको छ. सो म्यानेज मात्र गरेर भएन, कस्ट बेनिफिट एनालाइसिसमा के आउँछ त्यो पनि इम्पोर्टेन्ट हुन सक्छ. सो these are some important diseases of crucifers, and I guess that's all for today. If you have any question you may ask. Sorry, एउटा बाँकी रहेछ. So this one is the last. So this is very easy हैन. This एकदम यो तपाईहरुले लट्टेमा पनि देख्नुहुन्छ यो है, लट्टेमा देख्नुहुन्छ. त्यसपछि लाथाइरसमा पनि यस्तो सिम्पटमहरु देखिन सक्छ. So white rust or blister of crucifer, it is caused by Albuga candida, and its new name is Cystopus candidus. So in many books or in many papers you will find it as Cystopus candidus. So there are two kinds of infection. So isco infection, it is prominently seen on the lower surface of the leaf as isolated white pustules, small pustules. So this is, and so there will be formation of large number of whitish creamish pustule on the underside of the leaf. So this is known as local infection. This is not a systemic infection. So in this case, the pustules, they are slightly raised in the initial stage. They are glossy, and so when infection proceeds, so if it proceeds to the inflorescence, this can cause systemic infection. So this cause this albugo candida can cause hypertrophy and hypertrophy of the inflorescence. So generally the stalk of the inflorescence, they are enormously swollen, or the entire inflorescence, they are malformed. So this is distortion or malformation of the floral organs. So this is typically known as stag head symptoms. This symptom is popularly known as stag head. Stag head भनेर छ. Stag भनेको जराएको चाहिँ head को चाहिँ त्यो sing antler भन्छ कि के भन्छ त्यसलाई. So this resemble that stag head, हैन. So they are deformed, and the inflorescence, the stalk, floral stalk, it is highly swollen, they are malformed, or they are distorted, or they are twisted, and they give some kind of zigzag appearance resembling stag head. And in this case, due to activity of the pathogen, so stamens, so stamen तपाईलाई थाहा छ, stamen माथि anther हुन्छ. So stamens, they become leaf like, they become green just like leaf, and petals, they become just like sepals. So stamens, they are converted into leaf like structure, and petals, they are converted into sepal like structure. So this is very important. These are some diagnostic symptoms. So so in this case, when they rupture, when these pustules, whitish pustule, whitish growth, they are also visible on the inflorescence itself. So कोही चाहिँ पाउडरी माइल्डिस भनेर झुक्किन सक्छ यसमा. यो पाउडरी माइल्ड्यु हो कि भनेर लाग्न सक्छ कसैलाई है। सर त्यो पाउडरी माइल्ड्यु होइन, पाउडरी माइल्ड्युको छुट्टै हुन्छ। यसको चाहिँ पोस्ट्युल्सहरू दे आर लार्ज, इट क्यान बी फेल्ट with hand. And about the pathogen, यो तपाईहरुले पढिसक्नु भएको छ। Albugo candida, it is an obligate parasite. It is member of oomycetes. Again, spores are formed. कुनै बेलामा चाहिँ they produce club shaped sporangia भन्ने कुराहरु गरेका थियौं हामीले। And sporangia are produced in chain, oval sporangia, they are produced in chain in basipital manner. So oldest one is at the top, the youngest one is at the bottom. This is club shaped sporangiophore. So to refer your third semester notes. So it can survive as a oospore, or it can survive in the seed as a dormant mycelium. It can survive in different cruciferous weed hosts. It is again favored by lower temperature conditions. Temperature conditions of 20 to 25 degree is favorable. So it is, since it is a oomycete, so anti-oomycete fungicide are effective, such as metalaxyl. So one can go with metalaxyl. Formulation of metalaxyl is mancozeb, sorry, रिनोमिल अथवा चाहिँ क्रिलाक्सिल, क्रिनोक्सिल धेरै छन्। सो म्याङ्कोजेब र मेटालाक्सिलको फर्मुलेसन पाइन्छ, अथवा one can go with diamethomorph. They are also anti-oomycete, or someone can go with spray of borax mixture, or as a prophylactic spray one can use mancozeb or copper oxychloride. सो अरू चाहिँ कल्चरल प्र्याक्टिसहरू दे आर हैन, त्यो त्यो त्यहाँ यथावत छन् त्यो कुराहरू। So this is about important diseases of crucifers. If you have something to ask, you may ask. Thank you so much. Yes, please.